Hi everyone, my name is Caitlin Brown. I use she, her pronouns, and I am one of the Teen Services Librarians at the Piscataway Public Library. I was so proud when your teacher told me that you are participating in Glisten's Day of Silence. It's amazing to see young people fighting for inclusivity and representation. Today I'm going to share some great books that have LGBTQ representation. Representation has been on the rise in young adult books in the last few years. So there are some awesome titles that showcase people from all over the LGBTQ spectrum. I'm going to share books across different genres and formats, so hopefully there is something here for every reader. You might notice my email is on this slide. It is kbrown@piscatawaylibrary.org. If there's anything the library can do to help you, or if you're looking for a book and notice you don't have it, feel free to send me an email anytime. I'm also happy to answer any questions about this presentation. So the first genre we are going to talk about today is nonfiction. All of the books in this category are true stories. The first book we'll be talking about is Queer There and Everywhere, 23 People Who Changed the World by Sarah Prager. I'd like to start with this book because it gives a great definition and brief history of the word queer. Queer is often used today as an umbrella term for everyone who isn't heterosexual or cisgender. Heterosexual means someone who likes people of the opposite sex, and cisgender means a person's biological sex and presented gender are aligned with the sex they were assigned at birth. The word queer was reclaimed in the 1990s from being an anti-gay slur. So this term can mean a lot of different things and includes a lot of people who do not identify as heterosexual or cisgender. I'm going to be using the word queer a lot today because, like we just learned, it refers to a lot of different identities: gay, lesbian, bisexual, pansexual, gender nonconforming, gender fluid, transgender, and more. So this book contains 23 stories about people you might not have known were queer. For example, did you know that scholars widely believe that Abraham Lincoln was gay? Or have you heard of Juana Inés de la Cruz, a Mexican nun who fell in love with a woman she couldn't be with and wrote poetry about her agony? This book is great for anyone who likes history or learning fun facts. The next book we're going to talk about is Singled Out, The True Story of Glenn Burke by Andrew Moranis. On October 2nd, 1977, Major League Baseball player Glenn Burke made history. He gave the first ever high five. But that's not why Glenn Burke has books written about him. He was also the first openly gay player in baseball. He did not publicly come out until he retired, but his teammates, friends, and family all knew about his sexuality. Burke played for the LA Dodgers for just 3 years, but he had a huge impact on the sports world. This book includes photographs and never-before-heard details about the sports star's life. This book also explores what it meant to be a gay Black man in the 1970s. Sports fans should definitely check this book out. Out, How to Be Your Authentic Self by Miles McKenna. YouTuber Miles McKenna came out on his channel in 2017. Since then, he has been a huge activist for the LGBTQ community. McKenna is a trans man, and in this book, he documents his own transition while offering tips on how teens can take charge of their identities and coming out stories. This book offers tips on how to stay safe if you are coming out in a toxic environment, how to start conversations about your correct pronouns, and even a resource guide about how to find a good therapist. If you aren't part of the queer community, this book is also really useful for you. It offers lots of tips on how to be a good ally to your friends and classmates. It will help you better understand the queer people in your life and what they're going through so you can better support them. So this is Out by Miles McKenna. So all of these books here are part of a series called the Pocket Change Collective. They publish a lot of these little pocket-sized books on current topics. What I love about these books is they're not much bigger than a cell phone. so they are quick to read but packed with great information. This series handles all sorts of topics, such as plastic waste, climate change, art, and more. There are also several really informative books about LGBTQ issues. These books deal with topics like gender, disability, sexuality, and how we can make our schools and communities more inclusive for all people. I highly recommend this series, and I think they're great if you don't have a lot of time to read, because they pack a lot of information in a little space. All right, so next we're going to talk about my favorite graphic novels and comics. I'm a visual learner, so I really like reading graphic novels, especially if I feel like I'm stuck in a reading rut and I don't really want to read. I love a graphic novel. You might not know that some of your favorite superheroes and comic characters are queer. The creators of Deadpool have often talked about his sexuality and identified him as pansexual. Pansexual means that a person is not attracted to any particular gender or gender identity. This has been confirmed about Deadpool since 2013, when writer Jerry Dugan wrote on Twitter that of course the character was queer. Loki, one of the Avengers, is bisexual and gender fluid. One of his superpowers is shape-shifting, so he is able to adopt both masculine and feminine appearances. This was confirmed by Marvel writer Al Ewing in 2014. Finally, there are two famous bisexual women in the DC universe, Harley Quinn and Wonder Woman. Two writers for the Harley Quinn comics have confirmed the character is written as a bisexual woman. In addition to her famous toxic relationship with the Joker, she also has a relationship with Poison Ivy. Wonder Woman is also seen in relationships with both men and women throughout her comics. Graphic novels featuring all of these characters and more can be found at both library branches in our graphic novel collection. Next, we are going to talk about Flamer by Mike Chirato. This book is one of my favorite ones I read this year. It is about a boy named Aiden, and one summer he goes to a sleepaway camp. He's a teenager, so Aiden and his fellow campers deal with a lot of the same awkward stuff all of you are dealing with. But something feels different for Aiden, and the stakes feel higher for him. He isn't connecting with the other boys at camp. They are rude, gross, dumb, and sometimes even scary. They make fun of Aiden for everything: his Filipino heritage, his feminine voice, his weight, his lack of skills at any and all sports. Aiden is such an authentic and relatable character because Mike Chirato, the writer and illustrator, wrote about his own experiences, realizing he was gay at summer camp. This book also deals with something that is a personal pet peeve of mine, using the word gay as an insult. Aiden's campmates will call something they don't like gay, and it hurts him every single time he hears the word used in a derogatory way. Although this book deals with some really serious topics, it is funny too. This is a perfect read for anyone who has ever felt like an outsider. Juliet Takes a Breath, the graphic novel by Gabby Rivera, is a graphic version of a novel I really love with the same title and author. This book is about a girl named Juliet who is leaving her home in New York City to go to Portland, Oregon for the summer. She just came out to her strict Puerto Rican mom before leaving, and she doesn't even know if they're on speaking terms. Juliet is in Oregon to work for one of her favorite authors. While she is there, she learns about what it means to be a woman, Latinx, lesbian, and out. She's hoping that Harlow Brisbane will have all the answers, but Juliet soon learns that she's going to have to figure it out on her own. This is a great coming-of-age story about race, sexuality, family, and finding love. The last graphic novel we are going to talk about is Mooncakes by Suzanne Walker. Mooncakes is a fantasy graphic novel with love, demons, family, and witchcraft. The main character, Nova, is a teen witch working at her grandmother's bookshop, where she helps investigate supernatural occurrences in their small town. One night, Nova follows a report of something supernatural happening. A white wolf has been seen wandering around the woods. The werewolf turns out to be Nova's childhood crush, Tam. They have been wandering from town to town for years, unable to settle anywhere because they are a wolf. Nova and Tam work together to fight demons and discover their childhood crushes on one another might not be in the past. There is so much representation in this book, and not just for queer communities. Both main characters are queer and Chinese American. Tam is non-binary and uses they, them pronouns. Nova is differently abled and uses hearing aids. This is a fantastic graphic novel, perfect for fans of fantasy books. Last but not least, we are going to talk about some fiction LGBTQ titles. The first one is How to Be Remy Cameron by Julian Winters. It seems like everybody in Remy Cameron's life knows who he is. Super friendly, smart, confident, and gay. But when he is assigned a writing assignment at school to describe himself, he gets stuck. What makes Remy Remy? He knows he is gay, Black, adopted, but aside from all those labels, what defines him? Since Remy wants to be a writer, he really wants to do well on this essay. Readers get to watch Remy interact with his colorful family and adorable dog, seen here on the cover, talk through issues with his friends, and even fall in love. This is an awesome romantic comedy about finding yourself. So both of these books, George and Rick, are by Alex Gino. They are standalone books, so you don't have to read them both, and if you do read them both, you don't have to read them in order. Something I really love about these titles is that the author, Alex Gino, is trans. In the book world, we call that own voices, and almost all of the books we are talking about today are written by members of the queer community, making them own voices. So George is about a trans girl struggling every day when her teachers and classmates assume she is a boy. George might look like a boy, but she knows she's a girl. She is prepared to keep this secret forever until her teacher announces the school play, and George really wants the lead. With the help of her best friend, George might just find the courage to tell her classmates who she really is. Rick is about a middle schooler who has never really thought about his own identity until he gets to middle school. And suddenly there are so many different clubs and teams he can be a part of. He's used to just going along with whatever his best friend Jeff does. But even Rick knows that Jeff can be kind of a jerk. When Rick finds himself at a meeting of the Rainbow Spectrum Club, he realizes that he doesn't have to feel so misunderstood and overwhelmed. I love this book for middle school because it really nails how friendships change when you grow up and learn about yourself. Next, we are going to talk about Hurricane Child by Kacen Callender. The main character in this book is a girl named Caroline, and she has been cursed with bad luck ever since she was born during a hurricane 12 years ago. She gets constantly bullied in her small island community. There is an evil spirit following her, and her mom left one day and hasn't come back. Caroline's luck turns around when she meets a new girl who comes to school. Kalinda is kind, quiet, and actually wants to be Caroline's first and only friend. But can Caroline confront her feelings when she realizes she might feel more than just friendship for Kalinda? Can Caroline brave the island spirit following her and find her mother? This is a story about family, friendship, grief, and a little bit of magic. The final book we are going to talk about today is Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World by Ashley Herring Blake. When a tornado rips through Ivy's town, she loses almost everything, including her notebook full of drawings of girls holding hands. But soon her lost sketches are put back in her locker, one at a time, along with notes encouraging her to come out. Ivy hopes they are from the girl she secretly has a crush on, but how can she know without revealing she likes girls? This is another one of my favorite books for middle schoolers. It is beautifully written and such a heartfelt story. definitely have the tissues nearby when you read this one. This is Ivy Aberdeen's Letter to the World by Ashley Herring Blake. So very quickly, I want to play with my tech a little bit and tell you how you can find these books and more at the Piscataway Public Library. So give me a moment to get up the library website. Okay, it's going to look weird for a minute. Here we go. So this is the library website, and you might notice here on the right-hand side, here on the right-hand side, you'll see a search bar. This will give you access to our catalog, and you'll see here to find a book by title, author, keyword. So let's search for Flamer. I have it typed here, Flamer by Mike Corrado, which is one of the graphic novels we talked about today. So when I click search, I will get access to our catalog, and I can see every book that has Flamer in the title or author in Middlesex County, in all of Middlesex County. So if I scroll through here, I see all of the books in the county, and the titles that are owned by Piscataway are highlighted in green. But let's say I only want books owned by Piscataway. Here on the left-hand side, I can click this little blue bar, and they're still shaded in green. So I can see that Flamer by Mike Corrado, we have 2 copies, one at Kennedy and one at Westergaard. The Kennedy one is currently checked out by me, so it will be back in stock soon. If you are logged in with your library card, you can also click place hold to put the book on hold right from the screen as well. If you are looking for more LGBTQ books, check out our teen book list. You can also get to the teen book list from our regular library homepage, piscatawaylibrary.org. You click on the For You menu and go down to teens, click on that. You'll be taken to the Teen Services homepage. If you scroll down to this menu and click on books, you'll see this first hyperlink is check out our teen book list. If you click on that, give it a second to load. We have tons of recommended books that are organized by genre and topic, including LGBTQ resources. So this is a great place if you're looking for some recommended books. Thank you again for having me present today, and thank you for participating in Day of Silence. We hope to see you at the library again soon.